That was another one I wanted to watch. Was Asmongold ranking femboys or whatever? Are you sure it was real? I remember it was real. I did not see it in a dream. It was a Denims clip where because she watches Asmongold a lot. And then she pulled up some like video of his. Like he said the word futa out loud. That was the only memory I had of it. You understand why I'm like, we gotta find this. Like, you see what I mean? Why would you want to watch this? How would you not want to watch this? Just put your face over hers. Is that true?
Pretty much.
Okay, this is genius. This is gonna work.
Differences between sexual identifications.
Woke up that day,
Okay, let's
right?
see.
And so femboys are 3 out of 10. Now this is in the middle, right? Now this is something that like could go anywhere, right? But this is like pretty much the in general non-binary, right?
So boys, cross-dressing, femboy, and then non-binaries has to be in the middle.
These are people that don't really fall into any category. They just put themselves wherever they want, depending on what side of the bed that they woke up that day.
I do find it ironic to place them. I guess it's a spectrum here. There's an irony, like non-binary is like it's in between a 1 and a 0. It's like 0.5.
Right? Fuda, that's actually a really good one. So Fuda is actually way over here.
Uh-huh.
So, and then...
Oh, interesting. So this is a very woke take from Asmongold.
There's also a spectrum of Fuda.
It's a good look.
Fuda as well. So Fuda...
I'm learning from the best. I'm listening and learning.
Is... well, I'll do the whole name. That way you guys can look it up on Google.
Okay.
Fudanari is girls with dicks. Literally that simple.
Is that? I thought it was something else. I thought it was weirder than that.
It is literally that simple. It is a girl with a dick.
I see.
And
I see. No, writing it down.
So there is a spectrum of this where there is like...
Yeah, because it's like they have both genitals. Isn't that the point? Is it? Am I not understanding? Is it a broader term? They have a dick and no balls. I see.
Feminine versions, masculine versions.
They have vaginas as well. Right, because it's a cartoon, because it's not...
And this could go anywhere inside of this little spectrum.
I see. So the spectrum is like the size of the penis, presumably?
Making right here. And so let's go ahead. We're gonna color this. I don't know.
No, that's a porn category.
And so
That's
anyway, this is it. Fuda is not.
That's not a sexual identification. That's a porn category.
Girls that have dicks.
That is, you do see sometimes people online refer to like real transgender women as fudas, and it's like, it's not a fetish thing. Oh, like you think it's racist? I said someone say that where it's like, for you to be negative about that, it's like, oh, you don't want to be called something Japanese. It's like, that's, yeah, for sure, man.
It's literally that simple. Usually they're depicted as actually having like both sexual organs, right?
I do like the idea that in Asmongold's mind, like his perception of trans women is through like hentai. Like his idea, he thinks that those are real. Like that's like a, you know, there's like a base on a true story when he like goes to the first page.
So they're effectively like intersex or something like
porn
that.
Category.
And so yes. And now what's the next one?
What's the next one? So I do like, yeah, it's good. So do you think he's gonna put transgender women, or do you think he's like avoiding that?
Hermaphrodites? Yes, basically, right? And Fuda.
So hermaphrodite is just an outdated intersex term.
Tomboy? Okay, tomboy. That's actually...
Oh, there we go.
That's simple.
Tomboys are pretty much right here.
Food, it means like to gender or something. Like the literal translation.
Yeah, I'd say like actually right here.
It's like both. Okay, I
Fuck.
see. Which is, it's an interesting, the implication gender-wise is so fascinating because it implies that the tomboy is not a girl. Like, to put it outside of the spectrum there, to put girl like as the last bit, tomboy becomes like its own sort of category outside. It's no longer a form of expression for girls or women.
Now there's a
It's an interesting move gender-wise for him to make here.
spectrum for this too. There are tomboys that dress like girls and they basically just act more masculine and aggressive, and there's also
That is fascinating. That is a fascinating reveal for Asmongold, is that he thinks that tomboys act more aggressive as like a component of their, because they're like boys. Is that an anime? That must be like an anime thing or something. Because that's not like, that's so fascinating.
boys that dress like guys, and there's like a spectrum for that too, right? So it's, yeah. Like, it's basically the difference between give me a minute.
I'm bright.
What is he thinking of right now?
That dresses Casca is one, right? So Casca is,
So it's an anime thing. So he's thinking, that is so fascinating, the psyche here, that it's his idea of gender is all like anime.
a female that dresses like a female usually and generally acts like a female but has some tomboy traits. But
I do wonder here for Asmongold what he thinks the distinction, like the sex gender distinction, means for this. Because like,
not entirely.
right, like non-binary, he's recognizing non-binary is in the middle, which is still, it's not quite, but it's probably the closest, if you were to think about the accuracy of these lines, probably the closest he's gotten so far. Right.
Really, right?
Does he think like there's a male non-binary and a female non-binary?
Yeah.
Are they different in the thing? Because,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, parts of this, it's interesting. Parts of it are a sexual difference. The implication of the Futanari is that it's like, oh, you have the male and the female genitalia, and then broadly female sexual characteristics, which puts you over here. But then the tomboy is like, you have female sexual characteristics, but you dress like a boy and maybe act like a boy, puts you over here. So could we not consider this a recognition of sex as a social category? The treatment of the mobilization of sex, not as a abstract biological concept,
Just has
but as a thing that is an indictment of your social placement.
short
Yeah,
hair.
I mean, like that character from DBZ yesterday.
No? Okay.
Was
Well,
like other spectrum, right? And
yeah, exactly. That's so fast. I wonder what, because like I honestly, I do not watch all that much anime. I wonder how that has an effect on your gender, on your understandings of gender. So my only vague understanding is that there are less enforced gender roles, maybe in those, than if you were to watch like Western, like cartoons
so,
or something. I don't know. I don't know what we're comparing it to.
Anyway, so
Non-binary, well, a lot of this shouldn't be on the scale quite accurate. Like, cross-dressing and femboy are like cross-dressing denotes a behavior, right? So it's kind of hard to articulate where that would be on this spectrum because it depends on what the behavior is. I mean, same with femboy, although femboy kind of like in a sense, like a new version of twink, kind of denotes a particular, like maybe set of behaviors, but like also a body type generally it's like there's some racial implication. It's generally white people. So there's a sexual component of like a sexual characteristics. Like whenever you a lot of the times when people talk about femboys, what they mean are transgender women, or more specifically, what they mean is someone who has quite a few like visible female sexual characteristics that appear female. That maybe they have curves, maybe they have very smooth skin, maybe they have a higher voice, even their face is more feminine, but then they also have a penis.
So
There's this combination of mobilization of a sexual concept where it's like, oh, it's so crazy that you grew up like that despite being male. There's this appearance. I wonder, I do wonder if he's going to go with Trap. I wonder if Trap is going to be on there. Because that is like the femboy ideal in a lot of people's psyches, not necessarily everyone. And then I think maybe without boobs generally, you know it's coming. You gotta know it's coming. But I think this is very instructive about sex as a concept as it's mobilized. This is how people see the world. They see sexual characteristics and gender as this weird enmeshed thing that kind of produces a social reality.
what else do we have?
Dude,
Do we have
I
another
am
one?
so...
Drag queens. Okay.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Drag queens are... Okay. I would say right here. Okay?
See, that's fascinating. I get the point, because drag queens are a type of cross-dressing. Also, sexual identification is I forgot about that. We've gone full like Butler gender trouble here. We've connected it's gender, sex, and sexuality. Because we're talking about sex and gender as these very intertwined concepts, that our ideas of sex actually come from our ideas of gender. They come from social ideas. They're weird, self-propelling. But then, no prediscursive sex, yeah. But then we also have sexual identification here, right? So this is all supposed to be about sexuality. Or does he mean sexual identification? He means sex? Maybe he doesn't mean sexuality then. I guess he means sex/gender.
So...
Where is he gonna put it? Where did he put it? Incredible.
I'm sorry, that's a really bad R.
So, let me get this more...
Actually, no, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh.
They're actually
It's okay. Don't worry, Asmon.
closer to males than cross-dressers.
Interesting. That's fascinating. Also interesting, closer to males, right? The act of cross-dressing, like, it changes your sex almost. It demales you. Isn't that an interesting, like, quirk?
Oh.
Like a linguistic quirk. But also fascinating, too, because, again, cross-dressing is like, drag queens are a type of cross-dressing. That is the notion, that is the gimmick, right? You dress and appear in terms of makeup like the opposite gender, right?
Okay.
That's kind of the...
Males than cross-dressers.
Here we go.
So the reason why drag is closer to males
Let's
than...
see. I'm curious this explanation, because you would think it would, the typical notion of cross-dressing, that drag would just be a more intense version of it. Because you're like decked the fuck out, right? You got all the, it's like real intense.
Cross-dressers. No, I'll explain why.
I need to know why.
I've already thought about this.
Let's see.
Thought about it already.
And so anyway, the reason why is because drag is oftentimes like a exposition of the absurdity of gender roles. And because it's an exposition of the absurdity of
An exposition of the absurdity of gender
roles, it is to a certain degree satirizing those gender roles themselves.
That is fascinating. Also, that is so fascinating. That is so fascinating as a point.
And because it's satirizing those...
Because it's like, that is such a big brain. You can tell he was trying to put on the like $3 words or whatever.
Gender roles, whereas cross-dressing is embracing the gender roles. I think that it falls...
I think you're sorely mistaken, Mr. Gold. Or Asmond. I think you're sorely mistaken. I think that's the very point of cross-dressing. The very point of cross-dressing is that it is non-normative.
Actually farther
Is that you are putting something on that does not belong to you. Right?
towards the category of being a boy than a girl.
I don't think Asmongold understands the point of cross-dressing. Because as soon as it is your clothing, you are no longer cross-dressing. Because you're just dressing. There's no cross to be dressed.
Because everybody knows that it's a boy. It's done as if it is a satire, right?
Interesting. It's interesting. So for drag, everyone knows it is a boy. So it's a satire. But then for cross-dressing, it's not necessarily the case. Which I guess could be the case. Could be true. Although I don't necessarily. I don't think that Mr. Gold's logic holds up.
Right? I don't understand. Yeah.
This is the exact stream where this guy said that Palestinians should be genocided.
Exactly. You guys see my point?
I believe this is literally the stream where he said that.
Oh my god.
Okay, good. Yes, right. All right.
Do you see his point?
Do we have any more?
They said yes.
Keep going.
Guys, sex with strength, which is the yeah, dude.
Or like a
sometimes I'm like, oh, where's this going?
Sometimes people
I thought he was being ironic, but I would suggest.
Okay, we got trap on there.
Dude,
or like a slur for trans people.
Okay, we've got it on there. It's second weird fetishy term for trans woman has hit the Asmongold stream.
But
I'm fascinated the location of trap here. I am fascinated the location of trap, because the concept of a trap, if you're unfamiliar, is the idea that you like male who appears female, right? So the social mobilization of sex, you are slotted into the female category, right? It requires like a passing.
I think that in some cases there are people that like to pretend like they are a girl to fool people into thinking that they're a girl, but they are in fact a guy.
Dude.
Speak on it.
No.
Let him know, King.
That's just more porn. That's another.
Right? That's about it. Twink is not a gender identification. Well, this is not. Right?
Another porn category.
Except for their, not. Right? That's about it. Twink is not a gender identification. Well, this isn't gender identification either. Like, and also.
That's fascinating. That's so fascinating that in his mind, this is all sex. See, like, in the mind, like, cis people in their minds, they think about sex in such social ways, as such a social category of being that relates to just like how you present yourself. But then they think, oh, sex is biology; it's different than gender.
Also, this is just a.
They speak of it as it's pre-discursive. It's innate. It's inert out there. We just observe it, right?
This is a sexual identification, deviancy, a value system, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, a value system.
Right? And so ladyboy, I feel like that's basically that's usually either femboy or trap, right?
Oh, brother. We're doing... This is actually what he got 2 weeks for. This is actually like the...
I mean, that's...
That one, because that one is like really slur. Like...
One or the other. I feel like that kind of goes into it. So yeah. Is there Mrs.
Like no one... You're not getting called trap on the street. As far as I'm aware. But like you're getting... Like you can get called that. That doesn't honestly even feel like my word.
Doubtfire?
To say. Like that one's not
That's
mine.
in between drag and cross-dressing.
Mrs. Doubtfire is in between drag and cross. I see, because it's like kind of a...
Yeah.
Wait, so wait, which of the two did he say that was? It was trap and non-binary? Because that's also in itself fascinating. You would think it would be trap and futanari, right? Based on the logic. You would also think that there wouldn't be all that much of a distinction between these two. Can we also say, you want to know what's so interesting about the graph though? And this tells you a lot about Asmon's psyche and also like how sex is mobilized. Like the chart of sexual difference, which I think he's saying sexual good, like this entire part of it is presumably reserved for people who have penises. Like look at the part of this graph that is like room for people who have vaginas. Isn't that so interesting? Think about the space that has to be made here for like what really is gender, like, you know, nonconformity for penis havers, to speak in a broad category. Look at the psyche that must be like, you know, look at the psychic energy that goes into that.
Mulan is over here at Tomboy.
Isn't that interesting too? Because you would think, logically speaking, that Mulan would be the inverse of a trap. Right? Like logically speaking, it would just be like, well, you're doing the inverse. You're a cisgender woman or you're a female by the discourse that Asmongold is invoking. But people think that you're a male. You would think it would just be right here, right? And yet it's way over here. Isn't that fascinating?
I'm gonna tell you guys a secret. It's porn.
Either some people say it's a slur, some people say
That's
it's
what
not.
this is.
Either way, it's really just like another word that people use for lesbian. So yeah, that's really
Wait, which one?
not that complicated.
For tomboy?
I'm absolutely correct. I should tell you.
I've learned from being on the internet now for,
crazy.
you know, I would say I don't know how many years.
Tomboy means lesbian. I don't think that that's true. But again, you see sexuality comes into play again. Isn't believed? I mean, think about the fact that trans woman is not a category here. I mean, maybe he did. No, he doesn't. I was gonna say maybe he doesn't want to touch it. He wants to touch it. He has no fear of touching it. He just hasn't thought about it, which is so interesting.
Many years. And so hopefully now you guys can understand the world a little bit better and you won't get confused.
That's true. That's true. This is a really important educational moment.
I'm going to save this actually. That way, you know, like we don't forget about it.
I understand the world a little bit.
Okay, it's not. There we go. Spectrum. So saved. Yeah, clearly.
Does he just have? Sorry. Does he just have the Skyrim like ambient music playing in the background on his streams? Like that is ridiculous.
So where's Optimus Prime?
Like fuck you. What? Like really? He really does. Like it is the worst type of guy that goes into this.